Thank you everyone for joining. Today I'm going to show you how to create your first Power BI report, and we're going to do this step by step. As always, I do have a really nice data set to play with, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's get started with the theory real quick, and then we're going to go over the project, okay? This is my first Power BI workshop. Like I mentioned before, I'm very excited, and let's do this. So the agenda here, I have 9 different points. We're going to go over the Power BI overview, specifically Power BI Desktop. I'm going to teach you how to install and run Microsoft Power BI Desktop. And then at the end, as you can see, lines 8 and 9, we're going to go over a Power BI project, and this is going to be just for you to complete. And then I'm going to also give you more details about what is next. Let's get started with Power BI overview. What is critical if you want to create really powerful reports in Power BI is to learn about Power BI Desktop. So Power BI Desktop is a free application, like it says right here. You can install this on your computer, and you can connect, transform, and visualize your data. Once you create your reports, you can also share your reports with your peers, with your business partners. Something really cool here about Power BI is that we have monthly updates, and this is really cool because you never know what's going on with Power BI. You will see really powerful features. Let's keep going. What are the common uses? We can connect to data, like I mentioned before. We can also transform and clean data to create a data model. We can use here Power Query. We can also create visuals. We can create reports. And then we can also share these reports with our business partners. So let's keep going. Here are the requirements to install and run Microsoft Power BI Desktop. We have here so many requirements. You can read this. I'm going to share with you this file as well. And then if you are totally new to Power BI, perhaps you don't have installed Power BI Desktop yet, you have 2 options here. You can install this as an application from the Microsoft Store, or you can also go to the website and download the software from there. And that's the approach that we're going to follow today. So let me show you how it works. I'm going to follow here this link. Once you click on the link, you will get this window. And here, there is an option here to download. Hit this option, and also you need to make sure that you are downloading the right file. It's for 32 bits here and also for 64. For my particular case, I have 64 bits, and this is for my computer. Select this option and then hit download. So it's downloading. So once it's downloaded, just follow the steps, and then you will have Power BI Desktop installed on your computer. The next step here is to connect to data in Power BI Desktop. One of the powerful things with Power BI Desktop is that we can connect to different data sources. We can connect to Excel, CSV files, SQL Server database, SharePoint, and you can also see here more options. So many options here to connect to data, okay? How to shape and combine data in Power BI Desktop. So this is also really powerful because the data is not always clean. You may be aware of this. And then this tool is really powerful. It's called Power Query. We can also here shape data and combine data. And let's talk about basic DAX calculations. So DAX is the programming language of Power BI. If you want to take full advantage of Power BI, DAX should be on your list. It's highly recommended. You will play with data a lot once you are more familiar with these calculations. There are 2 different ways that you can perform calculations in Power BI Desktop. You can use measures, or you can use calculated columns. I would encourage you to use measures because you can save space, and that's what we're going to be using when we create our Power BI report. This is the syntax of a measure. So the measure has a name. It's called total profit. Sum is the function. And also we have here the table. It's called financials. And then the column is called profit. So this measure is calculating total profits specifically. You can also take a look at the details here. to get more familiar with this syntax. So let's keep going here. Okay, so let's talk about create your first Power BI report. The main goal with this Power BI workshop is to create this Power BI report. So I'm going to show you how to do this step by step. Like I said before, we're going to be using data set from kaggle.com, and it's called online sales. And then once we are done with this report, we're going to be sharing this report with our peers or business partners. You need to have any of the following licenses to publish to Power BI service: Pro license, premium per user, or premium capacity. This is the Power BI project. So once we are done with our first Power BI report, you will also have some homework. I'm going to share with you this data set, and you will use your creativity to create your own Power BI report. And then once you're done, you will upload this to Google Classroom, and I will provide you feedback. So this is going to be fun. And then what is next? Like I said before, you have to complete this assignment. You need to follow Quipu Analytics on social media if you want to be up to date with the content, with the Power BI tips. And then if you also are ready, you can enroll in the intermediate Power BI workshop. So right now, no more talking, and let's start working with our first Power BI report. So I'm going to share with you this report, but real quick, we have two different tables here, okay? So the first one is the calendar table. It's highly recommended to have a calendar table if you're dealing with date calculations, especially with time intelligence calculations. And for this particular case, I created this calendar table by using DAX. Let's move on and talk about the fact table. This is the table where we have the data to work with. See right here? So it's called online sales. We have different columns here: transaction ID, date, product category, product name, unit sold, unit price, revenue, region, and also payment method. So this is the data that we're going to be using. Something also really important here, if you go over the model view, there should be a relationship between the calendar table and the sales table or the fact table. One to many. It's highly recommended, okay? If we click on this connection, double click, you can see the connection here. The key column is date. One to many, single direction. So we are good there. I'm going to cancel this because it's already good. Let's go back to report view. The first step here is to customize your current theme. Let's go actually overview, and then here, customize current theme. Here you have the option to customize text, visuals page, picture pane, name, and colors. For me, the main three colors for this Power BI report are going to be black, red, and gray. You can choose any color based on your preferences. But for me specifically, I selected these three colors, the main three colors. And then you can also play with the other colors here if you want to have more options. So I'm not going to change anything there because it's already set up. You can also play with these colors. I'm going to leave this as is. You can go over text here as well. I'm selecting the Arial family here. Font size 10, and then you can also check the font color black. Title, for titles, I'm selecting Arial black, font size 12. For card and KPIs, I'm keeping Arial here, 25, the font size black, and so on. You can keep playing with these features. You can also play with visuals, page, picture pane. I'm not going to change anything, like I said before, because it's already set up. But I'm just explaining this to you, so that way, if you want to make any changes, you know how to do that. So I'm going to cancel this for now. We are done with the first step. Second step is to customize your canvas. Let's go over format here, and then let's go to canvas settings. Here, you have different options, but there is an option called custom. So let's hit custom. So it's already there, like I said before. The height is going to be 936 pixels, and then the width is going to be 1664 pixels. This is 30% more than the regular one, the default one, just as a reference. So once you are done with this, let's move on and talk about the next step, which is the canvas background. For the canvas background, let's go over here and let's look for the canvas background. See right here? We're going to be selecting here the online sales background. Hit open. Boom. So it's right there. Let's hit fit. That looks so much better. Transparency, zero transparency. So now, as you can see, the report is looking better, right? So we added this background. We already have the logo here. We have some filters here also already there. The next step is going to be to perform DAX calculations. So this is the fun part. So let's do this real quick. And we're going to get started with units sold. Okay. Because if we go back to the data real quick, so we're going to be performing calculations for units sold, for units price, and total revenue. Perhaps it depends on what your end users want to see, right? So they might want to see, hey, what is the total revenue by region? What is the total revenue by payment method? Perhaps PayPal, and people are using PayPal more than credit card. Who knows? What is the average unit price for that specific month, for example? Or maybe they want to know how many units they have sold in January 2024 compared to February 2024. So you can do a lot of things here with this data, but that's the idea. The idea is to use these numbers here to tell a story, how the program is performing, how these regions are performing, things like that. Keeping that in mind, let's go back to report. Once we are here, like I said before, we're going to start performing calculations similar to Excel. This is slightly different here when we do calculations in Power BI. So let's get started. Let's create here a table. So we're going to create this table to store our measures. Let's call this DAX measures. Okay. Now you can see here this table called DAX measures. It's empty. We're going to store our measures there. Right click, and let's get started with units sold. Okay. So we're going to create here a measure called quantity sold. We're going to use this function called sum units sold. Hit enter. Boom. It's done. Let's see what's going on here. Let's drag this over here, and you can see here how many units have been sold for these selected months, January through May. We can also customize this. This is going to be just integer, so we are good there. The next measure is going to be previous month units sold. Okay, let's do that. Previous month units sold. Okay. For this one, we're going to use this powerful function called calculate. And then here, there is another function called date at. We're going to be referencing here the date column from the calendar table, -1. And then for interval, we're going to use month. I'm going to explain to you what this means. This formula is giving you the unit sold, but for the previous month. That's basically what it's saying here. Please give me the unit sold for the previous month. And then we are using here calculate, which is a powerful function in DAX, and also this function called data. So let's approve these changes. Let's commit this. And then we can also customize this. This is going to be integer as well. And let's drag and drop over here. We're just testing the calculation, okay? See right there? Previous month units sold. Let's keep going, and let's go over the month-over-month unit sold growth. Okay, so let's do that. New measure here. And let's call this measure month-over-month units sold. We're going to use variables here, okay? So we're going to be referencing here the current measure, the first measure that we created, I'm going to call this current units sold. So we're going to call this the current measure that we created, the first one. Another variable here, and then it's going to be previous units sold. And then we're going to reference here the previous month units sold measure. And then here, another variable, we're going to call this result. And then we're going to use the divide function, okay? Because we're going to calculate growth, we have to perform a division here. The current units sold minus the previous month units sold divided by previous units sold. That's basically what's going on here. And then finally, the return function. Here, we're going to see just result. So let's approve these changes. And this should be percentage because it's a month-over-month comparison. So let's go over here, percentage. So we are formatting these to percentages. Let's drag over here and drop over here. Boom. 21% month-over-month. So it's working perfectly fine. And then the last measure that we're going to be creating for unit sold is called unit sold color. So let's do this quickly. New measure here. Let's call this unit sold color. And we're going to use here the if function, okay? Let's see. If unit sold, I think this is going to be actually this one right here. If this is greater than 0, if it's greater than 0, this should be green, right? Because that means it's performing well. If it's less than 0 or equal to 0, it should be red. So let's approve these changes. Boom. So let's see if this is working perfectly fine. So let's drag this measure over here. This is working, right? We are seeing green here. So we are good. So that means that these measures are working fine. The next step here is to organize these measures in a folder. So let's do this. This is also a good practice, my friends. You want to do that, to go over model view, hold down control, and let's start selecting this. 4 different measures, okay? And then if you read right here, it says display folder. So we want to name this unit sold. See right there? So every single measure, the measures that we just created are here, part of the unit sold folder. We can delete this column here, column 1. So let's go back to report. Now you can see here that the measures are under the unit sold folder. So this is more organized and it adds more clarity when you're working with Power BI. Let's delete this for now because we were just testing the measures. All right, so let's keep going, folks. So we are done with the first set of measures, which is related to unit sold. The next one is going to be unit price. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to do something similar here. New measure. And our first measure is going to be price per unit, okay? Price per unit. For this one, we're going to use the average function, okay? Perfect. And now let's calculate the previous month price per unit. We can start from scratch, or we can copy this function right here, this measure. We're going to copy this measure. And then right-click here again, new measure. Copy and paste. And then here, we're going to change the name. For this one, we're going to be referencing the price per unit measure. And then I think for this one, we are good. Let's approve the changes. Let's go over the month-over-month unit sold growth measure. We're going to copy this And we're going to make a couple of changes here, okay? New measure, Control V. And then here, it's going to be month over month average unit price growth. So let's rename this. And let's call this unit price, okay? Okay, we're basically making changes here. Okay, perfect. And then for these measures, we want to change this to, this is going to be the current price per unit, and then this is going to be the previous month unit price. Does it make sense? So what I'm doing here is basically referencing the price per unit, the current price per unit, and then the previous month price per unit, and then we are calculating here the ratio. Current unit price once minus previous unit price divided by previous unit price. And that should give you here what we're looking for, okay? And then finally, we also need to create this measure for color. So let's do this. And here, we're gonna change this with the average. And then here, this is gonna be unit price color. Perfect. So we are good now. You can test this as well if you want. Check this out. You can drag and drop over here. It's working fine. Price per unit. It's working fine. And then previous month unit price. It's also working fine. The month over month. We need to format this. This is percentage. Percentage here. Perfect. And then this one right here, this should be dollars as well, because we're talking about price. So let's select here dollar, and then just 2 decimals, okay? Perfect. For this one, we're gonna do the same, okay? Dollar here, and then 2 decimals. And then, as you might remember, we need to organize this. We need to add these 4 measures to a folder. Hold down Control and select these 4 measures. Let's go over here, and then let's add this to this folder. We're gonna call this folder unit price, okay? We go back to report. Now we have 2 different folders, unit price and also unit sold. Let's create the last set of measures, and this is related to revenue, okay? So we're gonna be doing the same basically. Right-click new measure, and let's call our first measure is gonna be revenue. So we're gonna be adding basically every single row related to revenue here. And then for previous month revenue, we can copy this measure again. New measure here, Control V. Let's rename this revenue. Perfect. And then here, this has to be revenue. And then this is going to be for the last month, for the previous month. Let's approve these changes. Boom. Let's copy this measure here as well. Right click, new measure. And then here, this is going to be revenue growth. Revenue. We're just renaming this revenue as well. And then this is going to be current revenue, previous month revenue. There you go. And then divided by previous month revenue as well. Okay, perfect. And then current revenue is going to be just revenue, the measure that we created previously, and then the previous month revenue as well. So let's approve these changes. Good to go. Perfect. And then finally, we need to create also the color measure. Right click, new measure. And then this is going to be revenue growth. gonna be revenue color. Perfect. I think we are good. So let's test these measures and let's remove this because this belongs to the previous calculations. Month-over-month growth, revenue growth. Perfect. So let's also format this. This is percentage. Previous month, this is money. So we need to format this as well. Money. 2 decimals only there, just in case. Revenue, this is also money. Dollars here. Perfect. 2 decimals, just in case as well. And then revenue color, this doesn't matter because this is just text. So this is working. Let's delete this for now. Next step here is to organize this also into a folder. So let's go back to model view. And then here, let's call this revenue, okay? If you go back to the report view, here we have 3 different folders: revenue, unit price, unit sold. So we are done with the DAX calculations. So the next step here is to create or to add visuals. So this is fun, my friends. Let's do this. Let's add visuals. Our first visual is going to be a map visual. Let's go over here. It's right there. And this is going to be for revenue, okay? Check this out. Let's go over the revenue folder and let's drag revenue over the tooltips. And then here, let's go over the online sales table. Here, we need to select region as part of location. See right there? And then you can also customize this visual. See how powerful the measures are? It gives you flexibility to start playing with the data, right? If you select a visual here, let's go over style. Now, perhaps map settings, grayscale. And then you can also controls here. I like to have the zoom button there. Right there, see? You can play with that. I think we are good with this visual. The next visual is going to be a bar chart. Okay, so let's select this bar chart right here. And we're going to add this visual over here, okay? We're going to be selecting here product category and product name. Product category is going to be this one right here. Boom. Product name is going to be this. Boom. And then for axis, we're going to be selecting the measure revenue. Check this out. See right there? And then if you go over here, select the visual, the bar chart. What we need to do next is if you go over the axis, I don't care about the title for the axis because it's redundant. And then also what you can do here is to add conditional formatting. Let's go over bars. Here it is, conditional formatting. This is going to be gradient. And then here, for the lowest value, this is going to be just the light gray here. Let me show you this one right here. And then for the maximum, it's going to be dark. Check this out. What else can we do here? Okay, so if you go over legend, top center, instead of product category, let's do revenue. Let's go back to bars. And let's remove this. So let's add here for now data labels. And then if you go back to bars again, this is going to be revenue instead. Okay. This and this is going to be this. Hit okay. That looks so much better. I think we are good now. Let's keep going, folks. And let's insert another visual. This is going to be a matrix, okay, for this one. Boom. And then for here, we're going to select year. and then also month over here. And then hit this option. And then what we need to do next here is to add revenue. What is revenue here? But there is something really important here. See right here, the months. This is basically alphabetically sorted. So we need to sort this January, February, March, just the standard calendar months, right? So we need to do that. But before we do that, let's keep adding here the other measure, previous month measure, and then the month-over-month revenue growth. So let's go over the dates table or calendar table right here. Oops. So let's go over here. So what we need to do here is month should be sorted by the month key column. Check this out. If you go back to the report, now you can see January, February, March, April, and May. So this is a really awesome trick. Let's keep editing here. Format. Here, what we need to do next is style. This should be none, okay? Perfect. I think we are good now. What we need to do next is to add conditional formatting to this month-over-month revenue growth. How do we do this? Select a visual. Let's go over values here. Right-click, conditional formatting. And let's add data bars, okay? So for positive bar, I do have here this hex code color. I want to share with you this code as well. And this is going to be positive. It's going to be 7C DA 9A. And then for negative, this is going to be, check this out, F4 83A3. And let's hit OK and see what happens. Now you can see here, right? And then right click again, conditional formatting, and let's do this for font color. The font color, we're going to use field value. And then we're going to use color here, the revenue color. That's why we created these measures, right? This makes more sense now. And then something also really important here, you might have noticed this. Check this out. Let me remove these filters. I wanted to show you something here. See right here, for September, it's saying that we're not performing well here, minus 100%. But this is not accurate because we don't have actual data in September. So how do we fix this? It's quite straightforward. If you go back to revenue, to month-over-month revenue growth, actually, we can use here conditional, if conditional here. If revenue is greater than 0, just give me the result. If not, just give me a blank. So let's see what happens, okay? I'm just playing with this measure. See right there? So now I don't have anything here, which is more reliable and more accurate because we don't have data in September here. It doesn't make sense to have here a month-over-month growth. So perfect. So we are good. The next step here is to create another visual. Control C. I'm going to copy this, Control V over here. So we are almost done, folks, here. Okay, so let's do the same here for price. Instead of revenue here, let's select price per unit. Okay, and instead of previous month revenue, previous month unit price. And then month-over-month revenue, this is going to be month-over-month unit price. Does it make sense? And then we can also play with this conditional formatting. Bars, you might remember this. Same story here. For positive bar, we're going to be using 7C DA 9A. And then for negative, this is going to be F4 A3A3. I think we are good here. Let's hit OK. And then We have to do this for text as well. You might remember that. Font color, field value, and then let's look for color here. But this is going to be for unit price color. Hit OK. Boom. And we also have the same issue here, minus 100% for September. Let's fix that as well. This is going to be unit price. A similar story here. If unit price, this is going to be price per unit. If this is greater than 0, just give me a result. If not, just give me a blank. This is working perfectly fine. We're good. What do you guys think so far? This is looking good, right? Next step here is to rename here the titles. So let's do this quickly. This one right here, we are fine here. Double click. Center. Divider. Let's add a divider here, okay? For this divider, let's use just this gray to here, spacing 8. For this one right here, let's call this current revenue versus previous month revenue. Let's select the visual. Let's go format here and then title. Title, let's call this current versus previous month revenue. And then this should be center. Divider, same story here. Let's use this. And then spacing, it's going to be 8. Perfect. So this looks good. For this one right here, let's do the same. Double click. So this is going to be revenue by product, category, and name. Boom. Double click here again. Center. Divider. Right here. 2 pixels, and then spacing. This is going to be 8. And then the last metric here, we're going to do something similar. And this is going to be current unit price, right? Select the visual, go over here again, title. This is going to be current versus previous month unit price. Center this again, subtitle is fine. Divider, this should be also this one right here. And then spacing, this is going to be 8. So we are good here. So this is looking better, my friends. We're almost done. The final step here is to add these 3 card visuals. You might remember that. So let's do this quickly, okay? Click on the canvas here. Let's go over new card. It's right there. And then here, this is going to be revenue, okay? So let's go over revenue here, revenue. And then also, if you go over format, let's go over images here. Here, we're going to be selecting revenue, okay? Check this out. Left to text, left to text. And then let's add here 60 pixels, perhaps 65. You can play with this, but you see the point there. So that's the image. And then color values, let's enter this. I think we are good now. Next step here is to go to reference labels. For this one, we're going to use previous month revenue, okay? Check this out. So now you can see previous month revenue. You can also edit that. Okay, let's see. Title is fine. Let's customize this title, okay? Column, perfect. What else can we do here? Let's see if we can add also detail. So check this out. For detail, we're going to be adding here month per month growth revenue or revenue growth. See right there? See that percentage? So this is great. And then here, font color, field value. Guess what? We're going to be using the color measure that we created at the beginning. And this is going to be for revenue. Check this out. And then for background, the same story here. Field value, and then color for revenue. Check this out. And then here, transparency. Let's see, 80. I think 81 or 80 is fine. Boom. And then you can also customize this if you want. Size and style, background. I don't think we need background here. For cards, let's see, this should be rounded rectangular. And then here for background, I think it's fine. We don't care about border. I think we are good. Check this out. This is one of the new card visuals. We need to do the same for quantity sold and also price per unit. We are almost there, folks. So let's copy, duplicate this, and let's start changing. Instead of revenue, we care about units sold, quantity sold. And then we're going to do something similar here. If you remember, we go to images, quantity sold, image here. Check this out. Aha. And then what is next? Left of text. Size, let's try with 60 here. I think 60 is fine, but let's do 65 to be consistent with the previous one. I think we're good. Next, what is next? Reference labels. Previous month, you remember that. Previous month, units sold. Perfect. And then here, we can also customize the text. We're good to go. And then detail, for detail, month over month growth, but for units sold. Perfect. And then here, remember this? This is going to be color, but for units sold. Perfect. And then for background, similar here, very, very similar. Check this out, color here, color, units sold. And then transparency, I think it was 80. Awesome. Let's keep going here. Let's go and do this. We're going to do this for price per unit right here. Price per unit. Price per unit. Huh. And then here, what we need to do next is images again. Price per unit. Image. Browse for the image price. Boom. Left of text. 65. You might remember this. I think we're good to go. And let's keep adding here for reference labels. For the label, this is going to be previous month. Unit price. You remember that? And then you can also customize this title. Custom here. Column. And then what else? For detail, we need to add here month over month. And then the last step is going to be here, color, unit price, color here. Hit OK. Perfect. And then finally, for the background, it is right here, colored as well, unit price, right? Check this out. And then transparency, this is going to be 80%. Yeah, so let's do something here. Let's select these 3 different cards. Let's go to format, hold down control to select every single one, and then alignment vertically. Perfect. We're good to go. What do you think? This looks great in my opinion. So let's select here a couple of months and see how this works. Hold down control. 3 months. March, April, and May. You can clearly see here that this is changing dynamically, right? So previous month for revenue, $36,000, and then the current month we made $34,000. So we are below compared to the previous month by 7% basically here. And then let's select a different country here or region. Let's say Europe. See, this is just for Europe. This information is just for Europe. So it's working perfectly fine. A bonus for you, my friend. And then once we do the bonus, we are done with this class. See right here, we have 3 different regions: Asia, Europe, and North America. Let's create another measure here to add an image to these regions. Okay, so like I said before, I'm going to show you a last trick here. And I'm going to share with you my screen. Just give me a second here real quick. What we need to do next is the following. So let's type here Asia, Wikipedia, right click, copy image address. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing here to go back to Power BI. See right here, we're going to create this measure, new measure, and let's call this region selection. Okay. So you're going to love this. Here, we're going to create here this measure, and we're going to use variables. Selected region. Let's use this function called selected value, and then region. Okay. We're using here the switch function as well. Selected region. It's going to be like this. And then here, if it's Asia, give me this link, the link that we just copied. You may remember this. Okay. And then if it's Europe, so you need to go over Google as well and then type Europe. So you can do that, but I'm going to be doing this here so you can follow. Europe, it's going to be the same, Wikipedia. I'm not showing you the screen here, but you can follow my first idea. Copy image address. And then here, so once you go over Google and then type Europe, you will find this link as well. Copy right there. And then finally, North America. Quotation mark here, North America. And then here, same story here. Let's go back to Google. And let's type North America continent. Wikipedia, select the same, right click, copy image address, go back to Power BI desktop, and paste it there. Boom. Save the changes. Check this out. If you select this visual, this is the new slicer. So you have the option to add images to the new slicer. So let's select this slicer here. And then let's go over format, images. Here, so let's select the measure that we just created, region selection. Check this out. Now you can see here, the images for each region, Asia, Europe, and North America. So this is also really, really powerful. Highly recommended if you want to enrich your Power BI reports. So you can keep playing with this as well if you want. Europe, North America, Europe, just Europe. And the numbers or the information here is changing dynamically, which is the point, right? You want to empower your end users to play with this Power BI report. What is next? We just added the visualizations. The next step here is publish the report to the Power BI service. Once you are done with this report, you are very excited to share this findings with your end users, right? But how do you share this? You need to have a license, like I said before. I do have a license. It's called Power BI Pro license. It's not really expensive, actually. It's quite affordable. You can do that. Let's go over here, publish, save the changes. You have the option to upload this report to the Power BI service. So you select the specific workspace, For me, this is called Quipu Analytics. Select this and save it. Replace this dataset because I already copy and paste it there. Replace it. So it's publishing. Success. Got it. And then I'm going to stop sharing here again. So I'm going to show you here in the Power BI service. The report should be already there. Just give me a second here. Bear with me. So now you can see here, this is the report in the Power BI service. You can now share this report with your peers. Go over here, share, and then you can start adding here emails, whoever you want to share this report with. So that's how it works. Or you create reports with Power BI Desktop, and then once it's done, you publish this to the Power BI service. Once you are here in the Power BI service, go over here and you start sharing your reports with your peers. So we are almost done, folks. So what is next? Since you are familiar now with Power BI Desktop, I want you to create a report as well, a Power BI report. So you need to complete your assignment by June 15. I will provide you with feedback. Don't forget to follow Quipu Analytics on social media. So if you want to keep improving your Power BI skills, and then if you are ready also to keep sharpening your Power BI skills, I will have another Power BI workshop where I will teach you more details about Power BI. Okay, so the data. So let's go back to the data that you're going to be using. So this is the data that you're going to be using. So if you have access to the classroom, these are the topics that we just talked about. Power BI overview, install and run Microsoft Power BI, connect to data, shape and combine basic DAX calculations, create your first report, share your report with your peers, and then this is the project. If you go over here, so this is the data set that you have to use to create your Power BI report. You can just download this and start creating your Power BI report. Once you're done, there should be an option here that you can upload files. See right here? So once you submit your project, I should be able to see your report here, and then I will provide your feedback. Again, thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate your time and following my tutorials. If you want to keep sharpening your Power BI skills, as always, I have really great content here as well. Check it out and let me know your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Thank you guys for your time, and see you in my next tutorial.